Okay, they're waiting for Scotty. Is he not? Oh wait,
Hi, Scotty, there he is.
here he is. Okay.
He made it just in time. Okay, hi everybody. So we'll go ahead and get started. Scotty and I are both. If you guys wouldn't mind muting, if you guys all want
Can you
to
guys?
Thank you. So I'm Jessica Wood, and we've got Scotty on here. We're both certified yoga instructors, and we're going to lead you through a nice, gentle, accessible yoga flow today. It's going to be about 45 minutes. I will start with the first half, and then Scotty's going to do some really nice, juicy, restorative poses for all of us. So you're going to get a little bit of Steph, do you mind muting?
With Julie. Okay.
Thank you. So you guys, this is your practice. We're here to guide you. Please take breaks as you need to. Please sip on some water as you need to. Pay really close attention to your breath. Your breath is just as important as the poses, if not more important. And again, we're just here to guide you, have some fun with it. Reach out to us after if you have any questions. Scotty, do you have anything to add?
No, I was just going to say, if you guys have any problems seeing me, let me know and I can readjust my camera because I want to make sure you guys see the whole, see the whole pose without getting cut off in the video. So let me know for whatever reason if you don't see me and I can readjust.
Sweet. So
Except Scott, your video's sideways, where Jessica's is full thing. Yours is up and down. So can you turn yours the other way?
Let me see.
Yeah, that's way better.
That work? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Christine. So I'll be teaching some of it and maybe not moving through the poses with you guys, and then maybe you can refer to Scotty for some demonstration. And then when he's teaching, he might not be moving through the poses as much, and then you can refer to me for some demonstration. So let's get started. Enough talking, right? Let's get started on our mats. We will take a child's pose. So start to just bring your awareness to your breath. Start to take some really deep inhales and deep, slow exhales. So for our child's pose, our knees are wide. You bring your knees wide out to the edges of the mat. You bring your toes to touch. Reach your arms straight out in front of you on the mat and just bring your forehead down to touch. This is a really grounding pose. I like to imagine letting something that I don't need roll off my back in this pose. That's gonna happen. Julie, do you mind muting?
Yeah, we're trying to hook it up to the TV. It's not working. No, it's okay.
She asked us to.
Thank you. Nothing personal. Okay, you guys, a couple more breaths here. Nice. With your next inhale, we'll rise to tabletop pose. So again, Scotty's kind of demonstrating since I'm the one talking. In tabletop pose, you've got a flat back, so imagine your back is parallel to the ground. Your shoulders are stacked over your wrists. Your hips are stacked over your knees. And your gaze is down. We really want to elongate the spine, elongate the neck here. So here we'll take an inhale, drop the belly, and just bring your gaze forward. And then we exhale and round the back a lot. And then let the crown of your head drop down to the ground. Beautiful. And just flow through that with your breath. So as you inhale, drop your belly, gaze forward. As you exhale, round your back. So this is called cat-cow flows. Really nice for opening up the spine and just getting started on our flow, getting some nice blood flow going, oxygen all over the body. Flow a couple more times. And when you're ready, make your way back to tabletop neutral spine. And spread your fingers wide. Press your palms firmly into your mat. We're setting up for our first downward facing dog, so we're going to go easy on ourselves. Press your toes into the mat, and with an inhale, lift your hips high for downward facing dog. So we're in an inverted V, and like Scotty did, feel free to take a generous bend in your really big stretch on the hamstrings, as you're probably going to notice. So please feel free to take a bend in the knees. Energetically, you can try to press your heels down toward the mat if you want more of the hamstring stretch here. And you can press your hips toward the back. I say back wall. I'm assuming there's a wall or a window or something behind you. So press your hips back and let your head hang really heavy here. We're supporting our head and neck all day, but just feel free to let gravity do its thing here. Let your head hang really heavy and invite space between each vertebrae of the spine. Yoga is all about creating space, cultivating space, so we're kind of working on that here. So feel free to walk out your dog. You can bend your right knee, bend your left. Awesome. Bring your gaze to the top of your mat. And at the bottom of your exhale, step your feet to meet your palms. So you're going to find that you're in a forward fold. So bring your feet about hips width distance apart. And just let your torso hang over your lower body. So you have the option here, maybe you want to grab opposite elbows and sway side to side. Again, here you're welcome to take a micro bend in the knees. Maybe you want to nod your head yes, shake your head no. Just bring some awareness into the body, into your breath. So in this pose, we're mindfully shifting our weight a little bit more towards our toes versus our heels. So we're getting a little more hamstring stretch. They're having fun at Julie's house. All right, release your palms or your fingertips to the mat, I should say. And toe heel your feet to touch. Leave a sliver of space between your heels, but bring your toes to touch. And really, really slowly and mindfully, one vertebrae at a time, rise to standing. So we'll rise to mountain pose, Tadasana. Tuck your tailbone. Reach your fingertips high toward the sky. I'll show you guys too. Reach your fingertips high toward the sky. Roll your shoulders back and down. Tuck your tailbone. And your gaze is forward. I'm going to show you guys this way.
Can anybody see me too?
Yeah, you're cut off at your torso. But that's okay. Take it easy. Cool, thank you. Let's take an exhale. Bring our hands to heart center and close your eyes. Take a deep inhale. And exhale, let something go. Set an intention for your practice. So it's kind of like a moving meditation. I'm assuming you came to your mat for some exercise, but hopefully there's something else that brought you to your mat. So set your intention now. Blink your eyes open if they're closed. Inhale, mountain pose, Tadasana. Reach your fingertips toward the sky. And exhale, take a forward fold. Press your hands through heart center. Really nice. Inhale for a halfway lift, flat back. Shine the crown of your head forward. And you can let your fingertips just gently rest on your shins. Exhale, plant your palms. We'll take our first high plank. Nice. I'll just ask you guys to come down to your knees for a minute. We're going to demonstrate some options here. So for high to low plank, you have a few options. So traditionally, a high plank, your shoulders are stacked over your wrists. You have one long line of energy from your heels to the crown of your head. We shift our weight forward and lower about halfway down, keeping the arms bent at a 90-degree angle. And then inhale to an upward facing dog. For upward dog, you're keeping your legs totally lifted off the mat. It's just the tops of your feet and your palms back. But let me break that down a little bit more for you guys. So high plank, we're going to do a lot of these or a few of these. So you have the option to skip them, and you can just go right to a downward facing dog if you prefer. Okay. Additionally, you have the option to take your high to low plank from your knees. So drop down and then bring the tops of your feet down, and we'll meet in the upward facing dog. So you always have options in your yoga practice. We never want it to feel too rigid or structured. However, we do want to help you get set up with proper alignment from the beginning. So let's try that again. Let's meet at the top of a push-up, whatever your selected high to low plank is. Shift forward, lower about halfway down, and then we meet in inhale, upward facing dog. In upward facing dog, again, it's just the tops of your feet and your palms making contact. Your legs are lifted off the mat. You're shining your heart forward, really big heart opener here, and your gaze is forward. With your exhale, tuck your toes, shift back to downward facing dog. You guys should feel a lot of ab and shoulder work there, a lot of core when we shift from that upward dog to downward dog. Okay? So in Vinyasa flow, we connect our breath to our movement. So I wanted to walk you all through our sun salutation A, and now we'll flow through that a couple times, connecting breath to movement to build some heat in the body. All right, so I'll flow with you. We're in our down dog. Gaze to the top of your mat. Step your feet to meet your palm. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, mountain pose, Tadasana. Reach your fingertips toward the sky. Exhale, forward fold, press your hands through heart center. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your palms high to low plank, or just skip it, meet us in down dog. You've got options. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Nice work, you guys. Take a couple breaths here. We'll flow through it one more time. And then I'm going to pass the baton to Mr. Scotty to guide us through some more yoga. So from downward facing dog, take a deep inhale. Bottom of your exhale, step or jump your feet to meet your palms. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, mountain pose, Tadasana. Tuck your tailbone, roll your shoulders back and down. Exhale, forward fold, press your hands. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your palms high to low plank, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Thank you guys. I will be a practitioner now. We'll have Scotty here to guide us through some more.
Can you guys hear me?
Now we can.
Okay.
Now we can.
My phone keeps phasing in and out, so I apologize for technical difficulties. All right, so what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and just go through a couple of gentle stretches right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back into that downward dog form to get into that stretch. So from that stretch, from downward dog, I'm simply going to raise my right leg back. I'm going to reach my right leg as far back as I can. And then on my exhale, I'm just going to step my right leg on through. And I want to try to scoot my back left knee a little further back. If you need to place a rag or some sort of cushioning under your knee, if your knees are sensitive or if you have any knee injuries, go ahead and do so. And then from here, we're just going to go ahead and stay in this runner's lunge for a moment. So basically, my hips are going to be moving down. So my hips are basically moving down toward the ground. And I'm keeping that front knee at a 90-degree angle. So really see if you can keep that right knee 90 degrees. Now from here, you can either stay here if this feels good, or if you want to intensify it a little bit, you can go ahead and crawl or climb up onto your right knee with your hands, if that feels appropriate. Now the other thing to make sure of too is that you're not arching your lower back too much. You actually want your tailbone to slightly point toward that back heel. So you want to feel that that your frontal hip points right now are actually moving up slightly as you're sinking down. And this stretch is designed to really get your hip flexor at a good stretch. Now the option is you can stay here, and if you want to intensify it even more, you can go ahead and reach your arms up if you want to intensify it. If not, don't do so. More is not always better. So you can see Jess is deciding to reach. I'm just going to stay right here with my hands on my knee because that feels great for me right now. So I always encourage you guys to really feel into wherever you're at right now and just be there. There's no reason to feel like you must go further or you must do this or you must do that. Find your edge and just slightly, stay at your edge and just breathe through that edge. And we're going to hold this pose for another another few breaths. So really deep inhales and exhales. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and lower my hands down to the floor. With my hands down to the floor, I'm just going to push my right leg straight, trying to keep my hands where they are. If your hands have to move back a little bit, that's okay. But see if you can pull that right hip back. And as you pull that right hip back, see if you can keep those right toes facing the ceiling. So you want to flex that right foot. So those right toes of mine are facing the ceiling, and I'm keeping my hands where they were. But again, if you need to modify and you need to move your hands back, that's okay too. And I'm really pulling back with that right hip right now. And we're just going to hold this here for a few more breaths. Now from here, I'm just going to go ahead and re-bend that right leg and come back to my previous position. Now I'm going to place my hands flat on the floor, and I'm going to step my right leg back and push myself back into a downward facing dog. Now from downward dog, I'm going to go ahead and reach that left leg back now. So really start to reach that left leg on back. I'm going to get back into the picture. So I'm going to reach that left leg on back. And then I'm going to take, on my exhale, I'm going to go ahead and step that left leg on through. And I'm going to go ahead and release my right knee down to the ground. We're basically just switching the sides here. Now, again, you want those hips to feel like those hips are falling down toward the ground. Those hips are moving forward and downward. And you want that front left leg at a 90-degree angle. Now, option is, if this is feeling good for you, just stay here. If you want to intensify it a little bit more, you can always climb up onto that left knee. And if you want to intensify it further, you can always reach up. But I'm going to stay here. Right now, I'm just going to keep my hands on my knee. Jess is demonstrating that she can actually raise her hand. She's raising her hands up. But the option is you find the place that's working for you today. And again, a reminder here, really see if you can keep that tailbone kind of pointing down a little bit. So it's kind of pointing toward that back heel versus sticking your butt out. I'm just going to hold this here for a few more breaths. This is a great area to get into, those hip flexor muscles. And from here, I'm going to slowly start to lower my hands down to the floor, framing my left foot with my hands. And as I frame my left foot with my hands, I'm going to slowly start to pull that left leg straight, trying to keep my hands where they were. But if you need to move them back a little bit, that's okay too. And again, really see if you can keep those toes facing up toward the ceiling. And also my left hip is pulling back. So my left hip is moving toward that back, or moving further back. And I'm just going to stay here and breathe for a few breaths. Try to avoid kinking your neck while you're doing this. So you want to keep that neck nice and long. Maybe a slight tuck in the chin. Let's hold this here for a couple more breaths. Now from here, I'm going to slowly start to re-bend my left leg. And again, we're going to go ahead and step into downward dog. So I'm just going to go ahead and slide my foot back and press back into my downward dog. Now from downward dog, I'm simply going to bring my knees down to the ground. And I'm going to untuck my toes. And I'm simply going to start to sit back onto my heels. So I'm sitting on my heels right now. However, if that's too intense for you, you can always take your handy dandy little yoga block or maybe a big thick book, and you can sit between your heels on a block. If that's too intense, if sitting on your heels is too intense on the knees. If it's not, you can just go ahead and sit on your heels. And we're just going to sit here and breathe here for a few breaths. If you start to feel a lot of discomforts along your shins or along your ankles or along your knees, that's okay. Just breathe through it. But if the pain starts becoming excruciating, you can back off. Now from here, I'm just going to come back and I'm going to sit down just in a cross-legged easy position right now. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and do neck rolls. The neck rolls are actually one of my favorite stretches. Basically what it means is I'm just going to, on my exhale, I'm just going to bring my chin to my chest. As I inhale, I'm going to let my head roll to the right side. And inhale, coming all the way up to the top. And on my downward stroll down the other side, I'm going to exhale down. The trick here is really to feel every muscle fiber in your neck getting a nice stretch. So you want to go really slow here. Now another trick here too is sometimes the shoulder is going to want to come up and bunch the ears as you're doing this. See if you can actually reach your hands down to the ground. Reach your shoulders down while you as you're moving your neck around. So you really want those shoulders moving toward the ground. And then we're going to go ahead and reverse the direction. So whatever direction we were going with before, let's go ahead and reverse it. So when we're down on our inhale, let's slowly rotate to that other side. Now I'm feeling every muscle fiber in my neck right now getting a great stretch. Let's just do a couple more rotations. And next time we come down, let's just slowly start to roll our head up. And from this point, we're going to go ahead and slowly come down onto our backs. And as we come down onto our backs, I'm going to take my right leg and I'm just going to cross it over my left leg, creating like a figure 4 in my leg right now. I'm going to reach, my right hand is going to reach in between my legs, while my other hand is going to reach outside my leg. And I'm simply going to grab one of two places. One, I can grab the shin. This is going to be a little bit more intense. Or, if that's too intense, you can grab the back of that left foot, grab that left hamstring. And I'm just going to let my head roll down to the ground. And I want to feel the entire length of my spine flat on the ground while I pull. Now, another key thing to keep in mind here is that right foot, flex that right foot. So you want to move those toes of that right foot toward your right knee. So you want to flex that foot, and that's going to help protect your knee from any sort of injuries. And I'm simply going to take a few deep breaths here. Now on the inhale, you really want to feel your lungs really expanding on the inhale. And on the exhale, you want to feel that maybe that you're getting a little bit deeper in that stretch. Not by much, just a little bit deeper. You can also, if you want to intensify it a little bit more, you can try to push that right knee forward as well. So you can push that right knee forward while you're pulling that left shin or that left hamstring in toward you. And slowly, let's release that side. And now we're simply going to make the switch onto the other side. And you might notice that your other side is going to be either tighter or looser, and that's okay. You're going to simply take that left hand, reach through between your legs, and you're going to pull with both hands either that right shin, or if that's too intense, you can grab the back of that right leg, that right hamstring. Remember to keep that left foot flexed. So really have those toes moving up toward that left knee. If you want to, again, intensify it a little bit more, you can push simultaneously that left knee forward. And just breathe. And really see if you can keep the entire length of your spine on the mat. Using those inhales, really fill up your lungs. Really find and create space in your body with those inhales. And on those exhales, just feel yourself sinking a little deeper into that stretch. Take one more deep inhale here. And on our next exhale, let's go ahead and slowly come out. And we're going to simply, from here, see if I can demonstrate, we're going to come into a happy baby. The happy baby is I'm still laying flat on the ground, but this time I'm bringing my knees up toward my chest, but I'm going to let my knees spill open. And I can either grab my knees and just let my knees fall toward the ground on each side, or I can reach and grab the outside of each foot and bring each foot up to face the ceiling. But again, the ideal here is you really want to see if you can keep the entire length of your spine, including your head and neck, on the ground. And if you want to gently rock from side to side, that's always a good idea. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and bring my feet, the soles of my feet together. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the soles of my feet together, and I'm going to reach on the outside of my feet, interlace my fingers, and I'm going to come into a butterfly pose on my back. So basically what that looks like is the entire length of my spine is flat on the mat. I'm pulling my feet in toward me while I'm pressing my knees away from me. So there's a pushing your knees away from you while pulling your feet in toward you. Now from here, I'm going to simply release my feet. I'm going to bring my knees in together. And I'm just going to let my knees fall to the right side while I look to the left side. Now the key here is to try to keep your entire shoulder blades, both shoulder blades on the mat. So really see if you can keep both shoulder blades on the mat. On those inhales, really feel your body expand. Your entire torso, your belly, everything expanding on that inhale. On that exhale, just feel yourself sink a little deeper into that twist. And from here, we're going to simply bring on the next inhale, bring those feet up, legs up. Give them maybe a gentle squeeze in. And then we're going to go ahead on our next exhale, just let them fall to the opposite side. So let them fall to your left. Keeping both shoulder blades on the mat, just go ahead and look to your right hand. Really use those inhales to really fill up those lungs. And those exhales are going to allow you to sink a little deeper in. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and bring my legs up back to that neutral position. So bringing my knees back up, I'm going to give them a gentle little squeeze in. And I'm simply going to rock forward and back, all along my spine. So just go ahead and rock and roll forward and backward all along the spine. Until you come back up to a seated position. Now from here, I want to actually open up the floor here and see actually if there's any particular muscles that you wanted to get an extra stretch for, or how you're feeling at the moment. So Julie, do you happen to have anything that you want to work on? Or I guess I just kind of wanted to open it up and see if you guys, if this is a good place for you for today, or if there's anything else that you wanted us to cover for today.
Thank you so much for doing it, Christine. But I wanted to see if there's any more stretching we could do on trap area or neck. Like that neck roll was really great. Is there something else? That's my super tight area there, and then the small of my back. Those are my two areas.
Mine's the small of my back.
Yeah, so the small of your back, those cat-cows, especially the cat, is going to be very, very helpful for you, as well as forward folds. So those forward folds are definitely something that I would encourage you guys to work on. And especially with the forward folds, keeping a nice generous bend in the knees is going to be very helpful with a sway. So, you know, like when we're looking at this, so if you can notice my knees when I'm in a forward fold and my head is just relaxed, this is also actually going to help out with the traps a little bit too. Actually, I'll show you another exercise that we can also kind of work on those as well. But really want to feel like your body, your torso is cascading down, just resting on your thighs in these forward folds. And this really helps. I can feel this opening up the small of my back, at least when I do this. So this is going to be a very, very good one. Another thing that you guys want to keep in mind. Another one you guys want to keep in mind too is utilization of the wall. So one of the things I love to do with the wall. Let me see if I can demonstrate here. Let's see here. So I'm going to come up flush against the wall. You guys see me, by the way?
Yeah. Yes, sort of.
Okay, I'm going to readjust the camera.
Legs up the wall pose too.
Yeah,
Legs up the wall pose is so good for releasing low back pressure.
Yeah, so with the wall, here are a couple things you can do. One, I'm going to bring my butt up against the corner of the wall, and I'm just going to go ahead and just rest my feet up against the wall, like so. Now, if this is too intense for you, the more plush against the wall you are, the more intense it's going to be. So if you need to slide back a little bit, you can do that. But while you're against the wall, there are actually a couple things you can do. One, you can just keep your feet like this. Another option is actually to let your feet open up a little bit. And that's also going to stretch the insides of your thighs. So it's going to get those adductor muscles as well. So you can actually work two areas here. You can actually work on opening up that lower back, as well as opening up the thighs if you allow your legs to open. Another thing you can do is just place your feet on the wall too. And that's also going to feel like it's going to open up more of your inner thigh and your glute area as well. So those are a couple things that I would do, especially for the small of your back. So with the small of your back, the more your knees are bent, or in any position where your knees are bent and the gravity is just pulling your lower back kind of open, I would always encourage that. So like this is also a kind of a great stretch too. And you can also kind of, if you want, you can press your knees out a little bit. You can also do, for the glutes as well. Remember the thread the needle that we were doing where you just pull your hamstring? You can actually do this against the wall too. And this also helps with my lower back as well as my glute. Now with regards to
Scotty?
trapezius, yeah.
Scotty, is your butt on the ground? You're laying flat against the wall. Just your legs are bent.
Yeah, so my entire length of my back is on the ground.
Your whole
and
torso's on the ground.
my butt is up against the wall. But again,
Okay.
if that's too intense to have your butt up against the wall, slide your butt back a few inches until you get to that point where you feel some intensity, you feel it, but it's not overwhelming. You don't want to feel overwhelmed.
Right. Thank you.
And with regards to trapezius, shoulder rolls, guys, all the time too, is a great way to go. And shoulder rolls, and this is actually something I missed earlier too, is actually just rolling your shoulders up, over, down, and the back. And then you can go reverse the direction too. So I want to feel, when my shoulders roll back, I want to feel like as if there was like a cherry tomato or something like that between my shoulder blades, and I'm squeezing that cherry tomato, trying to juice it. So I'm going to roll my shoulders up toward my ears, back, and as I roll my shoulders back, I'm feeling my shoulder blades contracting. As if my shoulder blades are almost touching, or the tips of my shoulder blades are touching. And I'm going to bring my shoulders all the way down, and you can feel how when my shoulders go down, you can feel how much that opens up the neck and the traps right here. So just shoulder rolls. I like to do inhale up, exhale down, and then reverse. Inhale up, exhale down. So those are actually going to be very, very beneficial. Those are actually, and I'm going to see if I can brainstorm on some other ones that I think will be very accessible too. Maybe Jess, do you know about also some other great ones that you can think of?
I did actually an interesting seated twist the other day. We were sitting like this, and then we kind of like did a twist, and then just worked on the neck a little bit, like elongating the neck here, and just kind of rolled it around. Just a variation of a neck roll, but it really seemed to kind of target the trap, because you're already kind of stretched in that direction. And then definitely the legs up the wall for the small of your back. I love that one. It's so good for releasing that low back pain there.
Legs against the wall, guys, is something that I do pretty much daily. And I don't get lower back issues at all. And I used to have terrible lower back issues. I used to have to wear a weight belt under my shirts because I could get lower back pains that were so terrible. And then I started doing a lot of yoga, and I started just doing like simple basic stretches that just help to release it. And use gravity as an ally. I mean, gravity can be obviously an enemy, but it can also be a tremendous ally. So the more you guys leave gravity to just allow your body to open, always the better. So that would be what I would say on that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Another good one, I guess, for your neck. Because here's the thing too, is sometimes we got to kind of get, that frozen shoulder, your neck gets frozen. There's a little stretch I like to do. It's called basically driving the car. So imagine your car doesn't have, the rear cam, and you actually have to keep your hands fixed on a steering wheel like so. And I'm simply going to take a deep inhale. And on my exhale, I'm just going to go ahead and rotate and see how far back I can see without moving my hands. So I'm not like going to wiggle my hands this way. I'm keeping my hands fixed. And then I'm just going to go ahead and see as far back as I can look. And I'm going to use my breath. So on the inhale, I'm going to stay at a fixed point and fill up my lungs. And on the exhale, I'm just going to see if I can move a little bit further. Not much, just a little bit. And then on the inhale, come back center. And then do on the opposite side. So taking a deep inhale and exhale, I'm just going to slowly look over that left shoulder, look at my blind spot while I drive my car, make sure that if I'm turning lanes, that I'm not going, that somebody's not in my blind spot. And then, So that's another good one too, especially, again, because we're so stressed. A lot of people have a hard time even just sometimes rotating their head, 45 degrees. So you want to really kind of focus on really releasing a lot of the sternocleidomastoid muscles, and just, any shoulder and neck muscles as well. Does anybody else have any other spots that are kind of sticky with them? No? Okay. I mean, I guess today that might be a good place to finish. So what I would say is this: guys, your feedback is extremely important to us, because that's only going to help us as we continue to keep these classes going. So anything you have to say, constructive, constructive feedback. Hey, this really worked, didn't really work. Everything is welcome. There is no, nothing is taboo. So please, I encourage you guys to let us know.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys so
Namaste.
much. This meant a lot to us. Thank you so much.